chilling.
Okay, I'm gonna start right now.
Cool. Let's
Just
see.
give us a go ahead when we start.
Let's see. I'm trying to wait for the actual video to load. Okay. Okay, can one of you guys talk?
Yo.
Come on, Austin.
Dude, it's...
How delayed is it?
Yeah, like 30 seconds. So,
Jesus.
Obviously in the future, I'll have like a presentation thing, like a premiere that you see on other channels to make sure that the audio is actually going through. But we're live, we're all good, all the audio is fine. So to start it off, what's up everybody? This is Fantasy Football and Chill. Back for, I would say, probably about our 10th week with the same amount of members that we had last week and probably the same amount that we'll have going forward. So our game plan for today is to do a recap of the divisional rounds, kind of talk about notable players, plays, and stuff along those lines. And then today we're going to start switching up our formats where we're going to do a lot more of just segments. So our lives are going to be separated into 2 to 3 different lives. So it's much more manageable to watch in one sitting. So I will pass it off to Cade and we can kind of just move along with the the matches that occurred last Saturday and Sunday.
So I guess I'll just kind of go on the order that I'm seeing right now is the Chiefs and Jaguars. I guess I think almost all of us had the Chiefs. Everybody wants to agree on that, and then I'm pretty sure everybody had the Eagles as well on Saturday. I think score prediction wise, I don't think any of us really predicted an Eagles blowout. But kind of getting into a little bit more of the detail of those games. Pretty impressive showing from Patrick Mahomes on one leg. I've been seeing things that he's arguably the third best quarterback in the league on one leg. So that's pretty funny. And then, Eagles put a whooping on the Giants and unfortunately kind of made it an unfun game to watch, but in a way also a very dominant game and a good win for the Eagles. Anybody else want to talk about those Saturday games before we move on to Sunday?
Yeah, referencing that Chiefs Jaguars game. Obviously, Cade kind of tagged about the fact that Patrick Mahomes got injured since one of their edge rushers rolled on his ankle. And I mean, for him being out, I think he was out for one drive. And what's his name came in, their backup, 37-year-old Michigan kid. What's his name?
Henny.
Yeah.
Something Henny.
Chad Henne. Man went out there and he led a pretty impressive drive. So
touchdown drive.
Yeah, it kind of made me question for a moment in time, like not to disrespect Patrick Mahomes' legacy or anything, but how great of a coach is Andy Reid truly? Or how well is Henne under that kind of pressure? And so it was kind of inspiring for him to come in, make such a great drive, and then they kind of changed the tides after that moment. But other than that, I mean, I felt like the Jaguars they couldn't make any substance on offense, not to be surprised. And I mean, I feel like I've talked about this man plenty here in fantasy, but Isaiah Pacheco, my guy, he's a dog. He runs with so much passion and so much grit, and I just love watching that kid play. So I just wanted to give that dude a shout out because he balled out. I want to say he had over 90 yards on less than probably about 15 carries. So
yeah, I want to tag on real quick on what you said about Mahomes. I think kind of what we hear about Purdy with all his weapons that he has surrounding him. I think a possible, like you kind of were saying in a little bit of a hinting way, that it could be interesting how many weapons that Mahomes has around him, how that benefits him. Because once Haney stepped in, it was just fine. Had all those weapons around him, just had to distribute the ball. Something that a lot of people make the argument for Purdy. So I think that is an interesting thing. And then I think the next thing is like, hopefully he's good. He's saying that he's going to be good to go for championship weekend, but if not, be curious to see how Haney does if he does play, and then be curious to see how Mahomes is with a slightly injured foot.
We'll talk a little bit more in that future game, but Josh, you could take it.
Patrick Mahomes said he left on a boot, so that'll be pretty interesting to see, you know, what he's looking like. I'm sure he'll still play just because, I mean, I don't know if y'all saw the video, but he was like literally like cussing out Andy Reid. He's like, F no, I'm staying in, all this. And honestly, I'm pretty surprised that like that was the best game that was on both Saturday and Sunday. Like, and the Jags really, you know, they fought hard to be like, I mean, people didn't even think they were going to be in the playoffs to begin with. So, I mean, for them to be having a decent fight with arguably the best team in the league, that's pretty impressive. And, you know, I think there's a pretty bright future there in Jacksonville with Dougie P. What else was I going to say? And as far as the Eagles game goes, I mean, yeah, we all kind of saw that, you know, coming, but I didn't think that the Giants didn't even look like nearly the same team they were when they played the Vikings. I mean, they couldn't get anything going, but yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I think the Eagles are a lot better team than I thought they were last week, or, you know, last podcast we did. I think that 49ers Eagles game is going to be a real toss up where just a week ago, I thought, you know, the 49ers had it in the bag.
I'm going to throw out a question, and this is a question related to only the division round. Who do you think deserves most valuable player from what we saw last week, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes? Now,
Jalen Hurts.
Well, yeah, we'll sit here and we'll say, obviously, MVP is a regular season award. But the impact that Jalen Hurts has for that Eagles team makes him look like a completely separate roster.
I agree. I just want to take this one over real quick. But I'm going to say the reason I'm taking Jalen Hurts is because, yes, he does have a great surrounding system. He's got the defense. He's got the coach. But if you look at Kansas City, and I don't want to take anything away from Mahomes, but you have a 37-year-old quarterback who has more career interceptions and touchdowns step in and lead a 98-yard touchdown drive. And he wasn't perfect. He had a throw that should have been picked off. And I don't think this is like always a system quarterback, but I think it's one of those things where Andy Reid is an A+ and Patrick Mahomes is an A+, and you have two A+ on the same team, you know. But I'm going to give it to Jalen Hurts.
I just want to interject with, like, I feel like at this point now too, I feel like it's not fair to be like, oh, he's got such a great system or whatever else. That just must makes them a great team. I mean, without Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs aren't going to be quite the Chiefs. Without the Bengals and Joe Burrow, like if you're talking about quarterbacks, without Joe Burrow, the Bengals won't every team now, especially like that's remaining, has a solid roster, a good defense, weapons on the offensive side. Like that's kind of what I don't know. That's what makes a good team a good team.
Can we, that's actually a great talking point. And I feel like we need to tag into the fact that only Brock Purdy out of this whole conversation is the one who gets disrespected for how great of a system he is surrounded in.
Just to kind of touch on that, I personally think Purdy, I mean, he looks incredible. He looks as flawless as you can for a rookie quarterback drafted in the end of the 7th round. But I think the problem with Purdy is the system that he plays in. It just doesn't really allow him to do the things that Jalen Hurts does and do what Patrick Mahomes does. Like, I know we talked about, you know, that play that he threw it right on the money to Brandon Ayuk in the – what round was that? Wild card round?
Yeah, it was in the wild card round in the back corner.
Okay.
The end zone.
Yeah, so he rolled – I think he rolled left. He made a guy miss, rolled back out right. I mean, he looked like prime Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. And the offense that he's in with Shanahan in the scheme, it just doesn't allow him to do that. Somebody's always going to be open, and it's just kind of like he's got to, you know, pick the right guy that's going to be open. He doesn't have to, I guess, like elevate or create. He just has to not make mistakes. So I think that is why we're not really giving Purdy the credit that, and he deserves a lot of credit, but not on the same level of like a Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. I think it's a combination of both system and he creates.
I think that comes with him just being the rookie as well, though.
True. Yeah.
I feel like that's an unfair assessment. You provided a point where he went Mahomes-esque, and then you said his offense allows him to play systematically, as if Jalen Hurts doesn't also, like, he has a playmaking ability, but he is in a similar context where if he's just not constantly running the football himself, it's a lot of finding A.J. Brown wide open. It's a lot of finding Devontae wide open, Dallas Goedert wide open. Same with the Chiefs, or actually the Bengals. Joe Shiesty. That man is pocket present at its finest. Man steps forward in the pocket, finds T. Higgins, literally probably number one on the top 15 teams. He would be great. Jamar, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, even Hayden Hurst. Like these guys, as Cade was tagging into, these are complete teams that are finally going up against each other. So I feel like the system narrative is so unfair to a kid who stepped in, composed, smart, and he makes the right plays. I feel like it's an unfair assessment. Like, he just doesn't, if he had the flash to it, we'd all be like, oh, that kid's generational. That kid's out of his mind, not Mr. Relevant. He's that guy.
Right. But the fact of the matter is, Patrick Mahomes has 41 touchdowns this year, and Jalen Hurts has 22.
No,
it's going to go to Patrick.
Don't
regular season 22.
Don't disregard.
That's what I'm seeing here.
Rushing.
Don't
ESPN.
disregard the rushing.
Okay, I'm disregarding the rushing. Let's see the
rushing. Who are we talking about?
He had 31 or 32 touchdowns. But
regardless, he has 10 less touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes.
On top of that, he played 3 less games than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but he also
That's true. Turnover rate. But the people that are voting on MVP don't care.
He also, his turnover rate was significantly lower. I think Mahomes had I actually don't know that. I know Hurts had 6 interceptions, which is pretty damn remarkable,
I think that comes with the way Mahomes plays. I think you can't give a guy like that a knock. I think you can start making a case for Allen, but I think that also comes with the way that Allen is just that type of player. He's going to force things, unfortunately. He's going to go for things. He's going to take chances. He's going to take risks. Mahomes does the same thing.
And I agree, but I think that's what separates an Aaron Rodgers from a Josh Allen. Like when Aaron Rodgers is playing like Aaron Rodgers,
For sure.
Just because the ability to still throw the same amount of touchdowns or more and to be smart with the football. That's just it's insane,
It's a separator. It makes a person great versus good.
True. Yeah, but I also think not to take anything away from Rodgers when he won the back-to-back MVPs, but he did, they were, Josh, this, we were watching every Packer game. They were throwing the ball a lot when they're on the goal line. And I think, part of it was to stat pad.
Inflate the touchdown.
Yeah, but I'm sure Kansas City does that. I'm sure Buffalo does it too.
Which is a great segue. Let's talk about
I would
the Sunday
do it too
games.
if I were the coach.
Josh, talk about the Sunday games, and let's kind of tag into the fact of that Bills-Bengals game, because I want to talk about that fucking strategy and offensive thought.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it that the first half, I don't know exactly how many rushes they did with both Josh Allen and Singletary, but it wasn't many. And as soon as they started running, they started playing a little bit better in that second half. But it was already they were kind of down too deep. But I don't know. I said to last week that it was going to be a low scoring game because I thought the defenses were just gonna kind of just hit heads. But it was for the Bills, but not for Cincinnati really. And Cincinnati really locked up more than I thought they would. But yeah, the Bills, they didn't have their game plan for the Bengals. As soon as they started running, especially in that weather, they started playing a lot better. And if they started doing that from the go, then, who knows how that game would have went. But, and then as far as the San Francisco game, that was a pretty tough one to watch. I don't know. I can't really, pick out anything that the Cowboys were necessarily doing wrong on offense other than throwing the ball away. But as far as their scheme went, losing Tony Pollard really hurt them. But I mean, they just, Dak Prescott was terrible, and he just had another cowboy
Agreed.
moment.
Um,
And San Francisco, their offense wasn't very great either. No, sorry. And
no, you're good.
San Francisco's offense, I mean, Purdy looked pretty good, like as far as hitting his shots, but like what that Kittle pass, like if they didn't have that pass right there, like if he didn't catch that thing, like that miracle pass, then I don't know. I don't know if they would have won. To be honest, they might have won by like a field goal.
So real quick, are we talking about the Bengal game or the 49er game?
Well, we're
Either
talking
one.
about both.
Both.
But I kind of want to talk
Okay.
more about the Bengals Bills initially, and then we'll
Okay.
segue into the Niners game.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm gonna say for the Bengal and Bills game, I just real quick I want to take a victory lap because I did pick the Bengals and you guys all said Buffalo. I think Kay, did you might have taken Bengals, did you?
I took the Bills just surrounding the whole DeMar thing.
Okay. So I took the Bengals. I thought it was going to be a shootout. I thought it was going to be like a 3-point game or 7 points, but I just like the way that the Bengals seem to match up against these like elite AFC teams. Like you look at when they played Kansas City, they've won. They're 3-0. Burrow's 3-0 against Mahomes. I believe he's 2-0 against Allen now, or 1-0. And just the way that they match up, I think the Bengals have a better. Like I don't know what it is, but I feel like they have more weapons on offense. Seems like the play calling is better, and Burrow just has something about it. He has like that. You guys have heard of an it factor. He has an it factor. He just whatever it is, like when he's in big moments, he seems to get it done 9 out of 10 times. And that's why the Bengals were actually my Super Bowl pick. But yeah, I thought the Bengals played a lot better. Shout out to my apartment complex's Wi-Fi for not allowing me to see the game because they disconnected it right before the game started. So that was great. But I did get to watch it after, and yeah, I thought Burrow looked incredible. Chase made a few nice catches. He had one called out of bounds, right, in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then it was cool seeing, just Damar Hamlin there and stuff. But it would have been cool if the Bills would have won. But I think the Bengals were the better team.
Just to add another comment, I also nailed the prediction on the fact that one defense, the reason why one team was going to win is because one defense is actually going to show up and another one wouldn't. And that was exactly what happened. And I feel like, and I talked about this is going to segue to my second point, which was what Josh kind of tagged along in, which was the Bills didn't establish the run at all in the first half. And I feel like it literally let Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard pin their ears back and rush for 3 straight downs. And in that kind of weather, like if you're trying to build some sort of leverage, don't you think it'd probably be nice to push forward through the run? But that was my logic starting that game, and it seemed the Bills had a different kind of game plan. And in the end of the day, we're both going to be watching the championship game, so I don't know who is right.
Yeah.
But
hey, Austin, one thing just to kind of add to what you said about like the edge rushers pinning their ears back. So that's a significant advantage if the opposing offense is not running the football. As like a defensive end, you don't even have to think run. You just go after the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's exactly. I mean, I feel like that was the mindset. They were pass rushing with 3 guys, and I feel like they had the efficiency they had with 3 guys was outstanding because they were just sitting here expecting pass. But I don't want to dive too much deeper into that. It just felt like the Bengals dominated the ground, and that was the majority of the game. Joe Mixon had a phenomenal game for Joe Mixon, and I mean, Joe Burrow was finding open receivers. He connected early in the first half, and it felt like it was lopsided, and it continued to stay that way. But moving on to that Niners-Cowboys game, as kind of Josh alluded to, it was the snooze fest. I feel like other than like if you can sit down and watch defense for 60 straight minutes, you would have loved that game. But
of football. 60
exactly.
straight minutes of football.
Yeah, it's just like 3 hours of you sitting on your couch watching Brett Maher somehow make a field goal, which was probably the most notable thing that happened in Dallas. Hell yeah.
Get there, Josh?
Andrew's using the duck call.
It's haunted.
I don't even know how to segue out of that point, but
Yeah, Josh is going on a duck hunting trip in a few weeks.
that is facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to the game. Okay, Josh, what do you guys think of the Niner game and Cowboys?
Go ahead, Cade.
Yeah, like you said, it was a snooze fest defensive battle for sure. Kind of just reading like this report and like Dak Prescott got picked off twice, ended up with those picks being 6 points off those turnovers, which kind of being the difference in the game, that 19 to 12. Great day to have Robbie as your kicker in fantasy. So yeah, I mean, field goal fest. I think we've talked about before how it's sometimes a midfield battle, and Dak Prescott came in clutch for the Cowboys once again, threw 2 picks and kind of cost them the game. So, yeah, I don't know if there's really much else to say about it. I think that next matchup, 49ers and Eagles, to me, won't be a very defensive game. But
how about that kickoff return from Turpin? Like, bro, that would have changed the game right there too if he would have just went left or right. Like, it would have changed the game completely, momentum, everything. And sorry.
Kyle Shanahan must have pulled like a Mike Tomlin. He must have been 7 feet out on the field playing as like the 12th defender because that man just is terrified to go outside.
Yeah.
Hey, 2 things. One, I don't know where Josh went, but I was just gonna talk about the Niner game real quick. I was gonna say, I kind of want to involve you guys on this one too, but what is your guys' opinion on? I mean, is it fair that we call Dak not a top 10 quarterback? Can we all agree on that? He's
never liked him. So.
Okay, he's a good quarterback, but he's not an elite quarterback. I think that's fair.
I feel like
I'll give him top 18.
give him top 15.
That's what I'm going to put him. So what is your guys' opinion on when you have a quarterback that is as good as Dak, but he's not in that elite category, and you're paying him? He's getting what, $40 million a year?
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you trade him and move off of him, or do you just kind of keep your job as an owner or a general manager and get complacent with just, having a first or second round exit every year in the playoffs?
So I think, Kate, you can take it first, and I'll
it's just real quick. It's just unless he crashes and burns, I think they have to ride with him. Nobody's going to pick up that contract. I kind of think that no one can really afford that contract in a way, without clearing out some insane space for it. So I think they have to let it go out until, I don't know how many more years he has on his contract. But I think they just let that ride out, and I don't know. My guess is 3-4 years they try to draft a quarterback and fill his role, or what's it called, trade or whatever else for a different quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I just think because the whole goal is to win a championship, and I feel like too many teams get complacent with a guy like Dak or Kirk Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm. So he's an unrestricted free agent in 2025, so they have that contract until then. What I was going to say is it's hard, as like Cade was kind of referencing, it's hard to like basically load that contract and send it away with his playoff performance. And as of recent weeks, I mean, Dak, in my eyes, was more notable about his turnovers these last 5 to 7 weeks than his touchdowns and their performances, because everybody was like, oh, Dallas is putting up 30 points a game. And I was like, yeah, Dak's also throwing 2 to 3 interceptions every game. And it's like, how sustainable is that when games actually matter? And they met a tough game, and Dak pulled off Dak. He still lived up to his 2 interceptions. And it was like, can you surround yourself with pieces to keep that? Like, it's like the Zeke contract. Dallas is so good at signing like notable players to way too expensive contracts and having to be stuck with them. So with that being said, they're going to keep him. But maybe Zeke's new contract or whatever choice they make will be like a forecast or a foreshadow for what choices they may make.
Agreed. Anyways, no, that's a good take by both of you. We should probably move on to the Eagles and Giants game,
Yes.
and then move on to our next segment after that.
Yes. So
Josh, you want to start?
no, give it a sec. Preluding, we will be talking about
my bad, Josh.
the next segment, which will be the next week.